Welcome to Engineering Out Loud. We're back with the fourth episode in our series from MECHESOL's MESP Engineering Development Program.
All about those competence examples.
We got it. If you're just tuning in, you definitely want to apply or register, or at least head over to mechesolco.com/CPD to learn more about the program.
It's worth checking out.
Today, we're diving deep, really deep, into Competence A.
Oh yeah, this is where it gets real.
We're going to figure out what it actually means to live and breathe this whole skill set.
We've got some pretty awesome real-world examples to unpack too.
Let's set the stage a bit.
Yeah.
We're in Module 1 of the MESP 2024 Engineering Development Program, which is all about
engineering competence development.
Right. In Competence A, it's like the bedrock.
It is.
But the document doesn't just tell us what it is, It shows us through these examples.
I love that.
One that really stood out to me, solving a major breakdown or malfunction using, get this, first principles.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, first glance, it sounds like, basic stuff. Engineering 101.
Yeah, it might seem that way, but hold on a second. Think about it. You're in the thick of it. A system's down.
Total chaos.
Maybe something totally unexpected.
Nothing in the manual for this one.
Exactly. Your standard procedures, they're out the window. There's no quick Google search to save you.
Panic sets in.
And that's when it hits you. You got to go deep. Back to the fundamentals, the physics, the chemistry, those core principles, the stuff that makes things tick.
The building blocks.
Exactly. Competence A. It's about using that deep understanding, that foundation, to analyze the situation, break it down, diagnose the root cause, even when you're in totally uncharted territory.
So it's kind of like being an engineering detective.
100%.
Piecing together clues, but using science. I love it. Okay, another example that really got me thinking. Performance assessments leading to proposals for improved efficiency or reduced costs.
Ooh, yeah.
Now we're talking about making a real impact, not just on the system,
but on the entire organization. It's about being proactive. You're not just putting out fires, you're making things better. Imagine, right? An engineer, they're doing a deep dive assessment of a whole manufacturing process.
Super thorough.
They're looking at everything. And boom, they uncover these inefficiencies. Maybe it's energy consumption. Or maybe there are these bottlenecks that are slowing everything down.
Killing the flow.
By proposing changes, using data, using their expertise, they could save the company a ton of money, boost productivity, maybe even reduce their environmental impact.
That's huge.
That's the value a skilled engineer brings.
Okay, so we've covered problem solving and making things better.
Optimization.
Yes. But what about bringing in totally new approaches? I'm looking at the document here, and it says, introduction of new technology and processes like Lean or Six Sigma.
Oh, that's exciting.
This is cutting-edge stuff.
It is, and that's the thing about engineering. It's always evolving.
Yeah.
A competent engineer isn't afraid to shake things up, to explore new methodologies, to champion those technologies that can revolutionize how things are done.
Be the change maker.
Right. Take lean manufacturing, for instance. It's all about eliminating waste and streamlining. An engineer who can bring lean principles into a production environment. They're not just showing their technical chops. They're leading, they're solving problems, they're committed to constant improvement.
All hallmarks of Competence A.
Exactly.
Now, this leads perfectly into prototype designs and testing.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
It's where those big innovative ideas actually get put to the test.
It is. It's about taking risks, calculated ones, of course, building prototypes, running those experiments. You might even fail a few times.
That's part of the process.
Absolutely. But each test, each iteration, it gets you closer to the solution.
Closer and closer.
This hands-on, iterative approach, it's the heart and soul of engineering innovation, and it's core to Competence A.
It's not just about building something brand new, though. It's also about taking what we already have and making it better. The document mentions significant modifications or refurbishment leading to process change or performance enhancement.
There's always room for improvement, even in those systems that have been around forever.
Even the old faithfuls.
Right. Think about it. You've got this piece of equipment, it's been running for years, but it's starting to show its age. A competent engineer, they're not going to just let it fade away. They're going to analyze it, figure out what's not working, and come up with modifications. Or maybe even a total refurbishment.
Give it new life.
Extend its lifespan. Make it even more efficient. Maybe even adapt it for a whole new purpose.
Repurpose. Upcycle.
It's that mindset, that constant drive to improve. That's what sets a truly skilled engineer apart.
I like that. And all of this, it all ties back to this last example that really grabbed my attention. cost-benefit analysis of potential new technology or process, presented as a report.
Ooh, now we're talking the language of business.
This is where engineering gets real-world practical.
It is. A great engineer, they don't just get the technical stuff, they get the big picture. They can analyze new ideas, not just if it'll work technically, but the cost, the benefit.
Return on investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can take all those findings and communicate them clearly.
Make the case.
Exactly. To the people who make the decisions. That blend of technical expertise with business smarts, that's powerful. And it's a major indicator of competence A.
So we've explored all these examples, and now I'm curious. If you had to showcase competence A, what kind of project or challenge would you jump at? What really lights your fire as an engineer?
That's a good question.
While you're thinking about that, our listeners can visit mechesolco.com/CPD to learn more about the MESP Engineering Development Program. All right, let's jump into competence B.
Ready to get things done.
Oh, absolutely. This one sounds like it's all about execution, making things happen.
You got it. It's that competence where you turn ideas into action, you know? It's about being effective, efficient, making sure things get done right.
I like it. So where do we even begin with this one? Our notes say identifying improvement possibilities. That seems pretty broad.
Yeah, that's true. But think about it like this. Let's say you're trying to improve a building's energy efficiency, right?
Okay, yeah.
Competence B isn't just about snapping your fingers and knowing the perfect solution. It's about being able to analyze different options, like solar panels versus insulation upgrades.
I see.
And figuring out, okay, what makes the most sense, both technically and financially. It's that whole evaluation and decision-making process.
So it's not just having the ideas, but knowing which ones to actually run with.
Exactly. And then you look at some of these other examples like specifying contract specifications or applying appropriate planning techniques. And it's clear that competence B is also about the nitty-gritty of execution, you know, making sure things are done right, on time, and within budget.
Makes sense. So it's like, even if you're not officially a project manager, you've got that project management mindset.
Exactly. Like, think about that time you organized, well, you know, that thing.
Oh, yeah.
You broke it down into steps, figured out who was doing what, set clear expectations. I mean, that's competence B in action right there.
Maybe I do have more of this competence than I thought. But our notes also mention running site services and operations. That sounds a lot more hands-on, right?
Oh, absolutely. This competence is about understanding how things actually work on the ground, keeping those site services running smoothly, or even tackling those unexpected maintenance issues. It's about, you know, rolling up your sleeves and getting involved.
Okay, I'm following you. So we've got planning, execution, problem solving. But there's one thing in our notes that really caught my eye. Seeking solutions beyond your own company. Is that like corporate espionage or something?
Not quite. It's more about having a wider perspective, you know, looking at what your competitors are doing or even other industries for inspiration.
Wait, are you saying it's okay to borrow ideas from your rivals?
Well, let's just say adapting and integrating. The point is, innovation often comes from combining ideas from different sources. If someone else has already found a great solution to a problem you're facing, why start from scratch?
So next time I'm stuck, I should just shamelessly get inspired by my competition.
Exactly. That kind of open-minded, resourceful approach is a key part of competence B.
Wow. Okay, you've convinced me. All right, so competence C.
Sure.
Right. This one feels different, you
Yeah,
know?
it does.
Like they basically gave us this massive list of examples, yeah? But like the actual description is like super short.
Right.
What's the deal with that? What do you think?
I think it's really interesting because it seems like competence C is less about like theoretical knowledge, you know?
Yeah.
It's more about what you can actually like do.
Right.
So like, you know, it's almost like they're saying, okay, here's the proof.
Yeah.
Like here are all the things that show what competence C is in action, you know, in the real world.
Gotcha. So it's less about like book smarts.
Yeah.
More about like showing what you can do.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you. But I got to say, some of these examples, they're all over the place, right?
Yes.
We've got exploiting available resources effectively. Then we've got understanding like contract law.
Right.
And then then we even have project management in here.
Yeah.
I mean, are these even like related? They seem so different.
I know, right? It's fascinating though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think of it this way. Like you're dropped into a new project. right? It's a really complex situation.
Okay.
And maybe your budget gets slashed or a really key team member suddenly quits.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do you do?
Right. Yeah.
That's, I think, where competency comes in.
Okay.
It's about having that ability to navigate those really tricky situations, whatever form they take, you know? So, like, you know how to bend the rules, but without breaking them, right?
Right. Right.
You can get creative when things go wrong, but you also, like, you understand the legal boundaries, right?
Yeah.
And you're still able to keep the whole project, like, moving forward, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's like it's like that story of the entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who started a business with like hardly any money,
Oh, yeah.
but they had this great idea, and they had to be so resourceful.
Right.
And to understand contracts, I bet they were probably managing a team too.
Totally. Yeah. All at the same time.
All at the same time, they had to be like the definition of competent.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like
Yeah.
having all the right tools in your belt, right?
Mhm.
But then also knowing which one to use at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about like knowing contract law or whatever. It's knowing when to use that knowledge,
Right. Right.
like
Yeah,
to negotiate a better deal or to avoid some kind of problem down the road.
Italy. Yeah.
And it's not just about like textbook project management. It's about actually using those skills
Uh-huh.
in messy real life situations.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, this is really making me think differently about like how I deal with like the problems I face.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even everyday stuff now feels like a little competency workout, you know.
Exactly.
Don't forget, you can learn more, register, or even apply over at mechesolco.com/CPD. Now let's dive straight into the fascinating world of Competence D.
Sounds good.
Now, we've got this really interesting document packed with real-world examples of Competence D, and we're going to take a look at how these examples actually play out in professional settings.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, before we get too far into the examples, it might be helpful to just take a step back and kind of like define what we're talking about here when we say competence D, right?
Yeah.
It's all about like how well someone can do specific tasks and roles in a professional setting, you know, not just having the skills, but actually using them effectively.
Okay, so it's not just about like ticking boxes on a resume, it's about actually walking the walk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. So let's jump into some of these examples. I'm looking at one here, preparing project definitions.
Yeah.
What does that even mean, and how does that show Competence D?
So a project definition is basically like a roadmap for a project. It outlines everything. The goals, scope, how long it'll take, the resources you'll need, all of that stuff. When you create a good project definition, it shows you can plan, you're organized, you know, you're thinking ahead.
So it's like setting the stage for success before you even start.
Yeah, being able to think strategically and anticipate challenges, that's a big part of Competence D.
I see. So you're not just diving in head first. You're taking the time to plan things out properly.
Right.
All right, here's another one that caught my eye. Presenting graphical evidence to a panel. Now, how does that demonstrate Competence D?
Well, it's more than just throwing some graphs and charts up on a screen.
Yeah.
It's about using those visuals to tell a story, to make complex information easy to understand and even persuasive. A good visual can really grab people's attention and help them see the big picture.
So it's like you said earlier about effectively communicating, but also choosing the right tools to get your message across.
Absolutely.
Okay, this next one is interesting. Demonstrating good telephone manner. It seems so simple, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Competence D is all about being professional and effective in every interaction. And that includes phone calls.
Right.
How you handle yourself on the phone can say a lot about your interpersonal skills, how you represent yourself in your company.
It's about making a good impression even when you're not face-to-face.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to leading presentations and meetings with clients. That seems pretty straightforward in terms of Competence D, but what are some of the key things to keep in mind there?
You're right. It's about more than just getting up there and talking.
Right.
A truly competent presenter can, you know, engage their audience, encourage discussion, handle tough questions gracefully.
So it's about being a facilitator, not just a lecturer.
Yeah, exactly. You want to create a productive and positive atmosphere.
Okay, here's one that I think a lot of people struggle with. Negotiating timelines with clients and suppliers. How does that fit into Competence D?
Well, you know, in any project, things don't always go according to plan.
Right.
Delays happen, unexpected problems pop up. So being able to negotiate those timelines, manage expectations, and come up with creative solutions when things get tough, that's crucial.
So it's about being flexible and adaptable and finding ways to keep things moving forward, even when there are bumps in the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last but not least, we have making presentations at company conferences with an emphasis on teamwork and negotiating utilities. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, this one really highlights the collaborative side of Competence D.
Hmm.
Because working effectively in a team, whether you're putting together a presentation or you're trying to secure resources, you've got to have strong communication, a willingness to compromise, and be able to use everyone's strengths to achieve that common goal.
It's about recognizing that everyone has something to contribute and working together to make it happen.
Exactly.
So we've seen a lot of really important themes here: communication, problem solving, adaptability, professionalism. It seems like Competence D is a pretty multifaceted framework that applies to all kinds of situations in a professional setting.
You got it.
Yeah, and there's this one element that we want to really dig into today. It's called Competence E. Sounds kind of mysterious, right?
It does have a kind of like a secret code kind of vibe. But really, when you get into it, Competence E is what they're calling like the core, the heart of the program.
So let's decode it. What exactly is competency and why is it such a big deal in this program?
Okay, so Competence E, it's all about going beyond just being technically skilled.
Hmm.
It pushes you to develop like a whole broader set of competencies, things
Okay.
that actually help you to become a more effective engineer, even a leader. Like
Hmm.
they emphasize things like how to plan your career, how to really engage with the engineering community out there, and, even giving back, like getting involved in volunteering.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like it's not just about being good at the hard skills, the math and science stuff.
Exactly. They're talking about like being a well-rounded person, but with a specific focus on what that means for an engineer.
I like that. So you're saying like a technically brilliant engineer, someone who's amazing at solving problems, but if they can't communicate those ideas, if they can't work well in a team, then they're not going to really reach their full potential.
Exactly. You got to have those soft skills too. And Competence E helps you build them. Like one thing the program really encourages is for you to create a career plan, not just for next year, but they want you to think like 5 years out, even 10 years out.
Whoa. I don't know if I can even think about what I'm having for dinner tomorrow, let alone where I want to be in 10 years. But I can see how having that long-term vision could be super valuable. How does that actually help you be a better engineer, though?
Well, it forces you to think about what skills you need to develop to achieve your goals, right? Let's say, like, in 10 years, you want to be leading a big project. Well, if you work backwards from that goal, you can figure out what experiences you need to have, what certifications or degrees you might need, maybe even more education. And this program really pushes you to, like, actually take those steps.
I see. So it's not just a daydream, it's like a roadmap. It tells you not just where you want to go, but actually how to get there. That's cool. Now, I also see here they talk about getting involved in professional organizations. How does that tie in?
Yeah, it's a big part of it. Think about organizations like, say, the Institution of Mechanical Engineers. They offer all sorts of opportunities, right? You get to network, you can learn from people who've been in the field for ages, and you even have a platform to, like, share your own expertise and give back to the community. Competence E says that being part of that community, that's essential for growth.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's cool how they connect personal development with like contributing to the whole profession. Now, I also see this section on community engagement and giving back. What are some ways engineers can do that?
Well, the program talks about all sorts of things. Like you could volunteer at schools and get kids excited about engineering. You could get involved in safety audits in your workplace. You could even present at local events, sharing what you know with others. It's all about recognizing that engineers, they have these skills and talents, and there's a responsibility to use those skills to benefit society, not just their own careers.
Yeah, that's a really powerful idea. I think what we're seeing here is a picture of an engineer who's not just good at their job, but someone who's truly well-rounded. A leader, a communicator, someone who's engaged with their community.
You got it. And the really great thing is that the MESP program gives you specific examples, resources, all kinds of tools to actually develop these competencies. It's not just theory, it's practical.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. We've only just scratched the surface here, but for all of you listening out there, if you want to learn more about Competence E and how it can seriously boost your career, head over to mechasolco.com/CPD. You'll find a ton of resources there.
And as you're exploring those resources, ask yourself, how can you apply these Competence E ideas to your own career journey? What steps can you take, like starting today, to become a more impactful and well-rounded engineer?
That's a great question. Think about it, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.